This video is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com and GatheringMagic.com, your place to explore the game.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Gen Con 2015, and this is my Lorthos the Tidemaker Commander deck. This is Lorthos the Tidemaker. He is an 8-mana, 8/8 octopus from Zendikar. When he attacks, you can pay 8 mana and frost tap 8 permanents. What that means is they tap and they do not untap in their controller's next untap step. I really like it. I thought he was terrible when he was first printed. I couldn't figure out a deck to build with him. Finally got around to building it and I haven't turned back since. This is a Lorthos big blue deck, so we have some sea monsters to go along with him. We have Colossal Whale. It's a 5/5 with Island Walk that can exile a permanent or exile a creature. When it attacks, it unfortunately goes inside the whale, so if they deal with it, they get them all back, but it's nice to have removal in blue. We have tomorrow Azami's Familiar. My deck doesn't draw that many cards for mono blue, but what's nice is that Azami gives you a little bit of filtering options. Solemn Simulacrum, I need mana ramp in blue. Sphinx of Uthuun, or Factor Fiction Sphinx. It's a 5/6 flyer that does Factor Fiction when it comes into play. You reveal the top 5 cards, pick an opponent, and they separate into a pile. Nice card draw. Thassa gives me Scry and lets me make a creature unblockable. Sometimes it matters, but really it's here for the Scry. Venser Shaper Savant is the first pseudo counterspell in the deck. I don't run that many, but he's just a nice emergency piece of technology. Thada Adel can dig through an opponent's deck for a sword, a soul ring, another piece of mana ramp, or a cage stun if I'm lucky. Very helpful. Draining Whelk, another creature counterspell. When it comes into play, it counters the spell, and you get +1/+1 counters equal to the CMC of the spell you counter. Just a nice little creature counterspell. Tidal Force. Lorthos likes to tap things. Tidal Force taps things at every upkeep, which is really nice. They unfortunately don't cross tap, but what are you going to do? Phyrexian Metamorph. It's a really good clone. Best case scenario, you're copying a mana doubler, which we'll get to in a little bit. Abishan. Fantastic. Being able to tap him, he is the only cephalid, but being able to tap him immediately, tap something down, is great, and his 3 blue mana, tap all creatures without flying, can kind of save you as a blue fog. Frost Titan. The deck likes to frost tap things, and Frost Titan does that. It's just a nice little solid piece of creature beat stick. Will Breaker. I just put this card in the deck because Origins has just come out. It has been wonderful. When Lorthos attacks, you pick the 8 permanents and you target, from what I've been told, before you pay the 8 mana. It doesn't make sense, but that's what the judges are telling me. I still need to do more research on it. If that's the case, you get them without frost tapping them. If it's not the case, you're still getting them. Makes Lorthos really good. Steel Hellkite, I need removal in blue. It gets rid of tokens really nicely, a couple of other things. Olamog. I really hate mill decks. I'm sorry if they're your thing. I don't like them. I don't like losing to them. He's in here for a shuffle trigger. If I actually get around to casting him, he's removal, but very rare. Archetype of Imagination. My guys fly, your guys don't. It's nice to make Lorthos a giant flying octopus. A couple of the sea monsters that we'll need for a card later in the deck. Scourge of Fleets is a mass bounce spell based on the number of islands you control. And it's really nice to be able to, when people are being very rude to you, make them pick up all their creatures and then tap all their lands. Tromokratis, he's a very efficient stick. He is an 7-mana 8/8 with generally hexproof, but if you even tap down one of their creatures that can't block Tromokratis now, he just gets in. Stormtide Leviathan. has Island Walk, makes all your stuff islands, it gives you a little bit of breathing space. I still don't understand why Lorthos doesn't have Island Walk when he controls the tides, but that's what Archetype of Imagination is for. Stormsurge Kraken. It's a 5/5 hexproof, but if Lorthos is out, it can help draw me some cards. The deck needs to draw cards. Moving into Planeswalkers, Jace the Mind Sculptor. I just happened to own one and I didn't want him to go anywhere. Being able to brainstorm with tomorrow on the battlefield is really fantastic. If you haven't tried it, I recommend it. Tamiya, it's nice. I've never used her minus ability, but to be able to frost tap a permanent immediately, and her emblem is just ridiculous if it gets off. And with being able to tap down as many permanents as you actually can get to Planeswalker ultimates fairly regularly. Teferi, it draws cards, which is really nice. The minus is really great to be able to untap your lands, especially when they're tapping for 2, 3, or 4 apiece. I've never gotten the ultimate off, but I have a couple of Planeswalkers, and it'd be cool. We'll see. Karn. I need removal in mono blue. I can't tell you that enough, how much something comes down and you just got to get rid of it. And Karn does that. I've never wanted to restart a game. I hope I never have to. Ugin. He's here for the -X ability. Being able to remove a lot of permanents is really great. I almost got him ultimate a little bit ago with a Tamiyo emblem as well. Made me very sad when I could not. I've mentioned mana doublers a few times, and as we get into artifacts, that's the first few of them. I run Extraplanar Lens. It's a little dicey if you think people are going to remove it early, but if not, it's great. Gauntlet of Power is the second mana doubler. It unfortunately works for your opponents, but it's still very nice to be able to make your lands tap. Cage Sun is for you only. It's great in monocolored decks. Blue needs ramp. Soul Ring, blue needs ramp. Eye of Ramos, blue needs ramp and gets an emergency ramp when you need it. If you don't try the eyes, I think you're missing out. Thran Dynamo, blue needs ramp. Gilded Lotus, I'm gonna sound like a broken record. Out of the mana artifacts, we get into some of the utility artifacts. Vedalken Shackles is really nice in mono blue. You just take their stuff. When their stuff gets better, you take that stuff instead. Spine of Ish Sah is removal in mono blue. It's expensive, it's hard to repeat, but sometimes you just gotta kill something. Sword of Feast and Famine can untap all your lands after you've attacked with Lorthos. So you tap down 8 of their things, hit them for 10, untap their lands. The fact that they discard, sure. Untap lands. Relic of Progenitus, don't lose the graveyards. You gotta do something. You don't use yours that often in this deck, so be able to remove it all or just take it apart piece by piece works out great. Out of artifacts, we move into instants, wipe away. It's a very nice instant speed removal spell. It works out really nice when there's people playing Doomsday combo in your playgroup. Being able to wipe away their Laboratory Maniac and watch them deck themselves just makes you smile. High Tide. It's really nice when your islands can tap for double. If for some reason you have a Tamiyo emblem, like I did this afternoon, it's just fantastic. Cyclonic Rift. You were expecting it, I won't deny you. It's nice to be able to make them pick everything up. Time Stop. I don't run many counterspells, but Time Stop's a great one. It works as a fog, it works as a counterspell. It does everything you want it to do and more. Repulse. Just a simple spot removal that makes you draw a card. Who doesn't like drawing cards? Capsize. When your lands start tapping for a lot, Capsize with buyback is very easy. And it's nice to be able to machine gun bounce their things or an emergency just bounce one. Pact of Negation. Your lands are often tapped if you don't have Sword of Feast and Famine. And a Pact works to just counter what has to be countered. Dig Through Time. You don't use your graveyard that often. Go ahead and delve it away. I don't run Treasure Cruise in here. I'm not sure why. You should run this card. Into the Royal. It's a bounce spell that lets you draw a card. It's the best kind of removal you're going to get in mono blue, and it draws you a card. Desertion. Not only do you counter their artifact or creature, you take it. Really nice. Submerge. If your opponent's playing a forest, you can put a creature card back on top of their deck for 0 mana. It was really great before they got rid of Tuck. It's still really good. A little less, still really good. Fact or Fiction. You get to draw cards. I would be disappointing you if I didn't have Fact or Fiction in the deck. Impulse. It's nice to be able to get to a card you need. Cryptic Command. A recent addition to the deck that I have been very happy with. It does everything you want in a blue spell. It counters, it bounces, it taps creatures, I guess if you really need it to, and it draws a card. Illusionist Gambit is a lot of fun. It's kind of like a blue fog, but it makes them attack somebody else, which is really great because you're running mono blue and people hate you. So to be able to make them hate somebody else on purpose is nice. Dismissing a Dream is a fantastic card in Lorthos. It makes their creatures illusions, which means when you target them with Lorthos' tentacles, they just get sacrificed. If they're going to play in a Voltron deck, they just get sacrificed. If they're putting +1/+1 counters with Gob, they just get sacrificed. It's great. Future Sight. I don't draw that many cards, but being able to play through the top of my deck is wonderful. It's amazing how many people don't kill this card immediately. Treachery. Just take their stuff. If your land's tapped for more, great. If they don't, that's fine too. Flood. It's a 1 mana enchantment from the dark. For 2 blue mana, tap target creature without flying. It gives you a little bit of breathing room when you need it. Flow of Ideas. For 6 mana, you draw a card for each island you control. You're playing mono blue, which means you have a lot of islands. If you have Tomorrow, things are wonderful. Bribery. Go take their best thing. If they want to play with Blightsteel Colossus, or they want to play with Kozil like they were planning on getting and hitting me with it, you hit them instead. It's what they get for putting it in the deck. Whelming Wave. Return all creatures that aren't octopuses, leviathans, krakens, or serpents. For some reason, whales still get whelmed, but what are you going to do? Be careful with Whelming Wave and Colossal Whale because you don't want to give them back all their stuff. But it doesn't bounce Lorthos. Washout, another mass bounce spell. This one, you don't get hate from the entire table because you can wash out the guy that's playing a crap ton of tokens. Preordain. It's a nice cantrip that draws you a card. Inundate. Put all non-blue creatures back to their owner's hand. It's annoying when everyone else is playing blue. It's what you get for putting a color hate card in your deck. But when people aren't playing blue, you get to make them pick it all up. Lands are going to go relatively quickly. We have Terramorphic Expanse, Evolving Wilds, and Myriad Landscape to shuffle the deck a little bit. Scrying Sheets to give you a little bit of a precursor of what's to come. You look at the top card of your library. If it's a snow permanent, say a snow-covered island, you put it in your hand. Arcane Lighthouse, I really don't like hexproof. And being able to make them lose hexproof to tap them down with Lorthos is worth it just for a one-of non-basic. Now we get to the basic lands, and I run 32 snow-covered islands because Scrying Sheets and Extraplanar Lens. So it's a snow-covered island, and if they're not snowed out, it's a non-symmetrical benefit, which is not what Extraplanar Lens tried to do. Hope you enjoyed it, and that's Lorthos. Thanks for watching CMDR decks. Please subscribe and favorite.